Cheers, mate. He's looking a bit surprised. Oh, I can't believe you're still listening to me. This is great. Yeah.
I can't believe you're not wearing any linen. You're up in Byron. Have you got shoes on?
Oh no! I've got. This is my axe. My Viking axe for cleaving linen. You know, so it's like no, seriously.
Fresh Daily with Tom and Loggy on K-Rock 955.
K-Rock 955, Tom and Loggy. Now, friend of the show. I guess we'd say friend of the show.
100%.
We're claiming him as a friend.
I don't know if he'd say the same back, but...
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll claim it. Thanks, mate. Kram from Spiderbait joins us to celebrate the 25th anniversary of an album that I was just saying off air, played a big part in my kind of teenage years. Ivy and the Big Apples, 25 years already, Kram.
Crazy.
Can you believe it?
I know, it's crazy. That's what everyone's been saying. It's like, I can't believe it. Either asking me if I can believe it or they can't believe it themselves. It's like, 25 years ago, I was jumping off the stage at one of your gigs. And so those of us who managed to survive those days are looking back fondly, but a little bit surprised at how far back it is, I guess.
Well, I guess it just feels like the album has no age, you know, because like you mentioned, Tom, it means a lot to you. It means a lot to me too. I remember when I first heard Calypso, and I was in primary school, so I was quite young at the time, but I remember hearing it and just loving it. And then when 10 Things I Hate About You came out, it is in the movie, and I mentioned that to Tom. I thought that was like a little bit of niche knowledge that I had, but apparently it's very well known, of course, obviously for Spiderbait fans. That was a huge movie, and that was a huge move into America. Before that time, had you conquered the, overseas already?
Not really. I mean, we'd done some tours of Canada. We'd done a couple of tours of America. But America always found it difficult to understand us because on one level we're like, we're like a heavy metal band.
Yeah.
On another level, we're like a pop band with someone else. An incredible woman has this voice of an angel. And it's sort of those two things combined. I remember us having a meeting once with this big producer in LA who wanted to sign us. And he just couldn't get it around his head how to make the two bands work, how to make the two sides of the bands work. And we were like, oh, well, it's not like we set it out that way, and we can't really stop doing one of these. Do.
Yeah.
But I actually believe greatly that those two aspects, and then with Wit in the middle being sort of the musical gel, those two aspects of our band have actually enabled us to stay big and be successful. So, for some reason, Australia has always really understood that. And this record has, two of our biggest hits, which is Calypso and Buy Me a Pony on the same record. And they're very different songs. But it's just great that fans really understand where we're coming from. And this was kind of, I guess, our first really big commercial success. And I guess Calypso was really our first big hit. It was our first top 5 hit. A lot of people always ask me about 10 Things I Hate About You. I remember Heath Ledger came to one of our gigs once, may he rest in peace. And it's just a trip who knows about your band and who is into the thing, and you just put a song out there and stuff can start to happen, so it's really nice to look back, but it's great. Even better that the song is still, and the band, I guess, and the album are still relevant to people today.
Yeah, amazing. So you mentioned earlier taking meetings with guys in like big producers and whatnot in LA and wanting to record label exec stuff. What was the moment where you went, hang on, this album has kind of changed the game for us, for Spiderbait, as a band who'd been around for 5, 6, 7 years already?
I think. Well, the thing is that's the thing about us. I mean, we've been around for a long, long time. And I always ask bands like, some of the guys in Midnight Oil are friends of mine, and we look up to them so much. And bands that are even older than us that are still huge and relevant. And there's just all these different levels. Like stuff happens, heaps of stuff happens before anyone even knows about you. Like we got signed by a tiny label, but a very reputable and amazing label in Melbourne called Go Go Records for a single that we did, and we just couldn't believe it. Like we had a record, we actually had a piece of vinyl in that moment. And then the next moment is, you play a big show and you can't believe that so many people want to see you, and it just keeps going incrementally up to that, to the point when you have a #1 hit with Black Betty. So it's like this weird thing of all these things that happen, and each one is a little bit more unbelievable than the last. And so this record very much was like, the first thing was, I think the moment was probably when, pretty much when Buy Me a Pony won the Hos 100. That was a really big deal.
Yeah, cool.
And very unexpected for us. Like, we hadn't even really been in it before, I don't think. And we weren't even sure that much about it. I don't think there was as much interest and obsession about that from perspective of the bands as there is these days. I know other artists who have done well in it in recent years, and they're just stoked. They have a party and all that. And it's beautiful, you know. But I think for us, it just took us by surprise, and particularly from what the lyrics are about. That's a very satirical song. I wrote it about, you know, the unknown dangers of getting into the commercial world of music and almost being worried that you were going to give away control of your own art and your own life, you know, which is well documented in the history of rock and roll. You know, it's sort of like the Colonel Tom Parker syndrome. And it's just weird that song, with all the topical nature of it, became such a big hit, and that other people were feeling the same thing as us. So we knew something was happening then. And then when we put out Calypso, which was even bigger, we understood that people were just feeling that, you know, that there's some joy here as well, because I do get a feeling, I'm not sure if you guys feel, from Calypso is a very joyous song, but deep down it's quite dark in its undertones. And that's a classic Janet motif that she uses a lot in her songs. And just, you know, suddenly you're massive. And it's like, I mean, we'd been a big band before, we'd done big festivals, but I don't know, something about it. And the third thing as well that we're very proud of is that it gave us a real sense of our own ability to achieve something under pressure, because it was quite a pressurized record in a way. In retrospect, I was thinking about this because we'd signed up, and you sign up, you want to deliver. You know, I think a lot of bands come out with a big record and it's very difficult to follow up. And all of a sudden they might have some great music, but they don't last. And I think our longevity in a big way is due to our connection as friends, and also things like this that have happened over the years, this album being, I think, the first of them.
I think the connection that you feel between each other, we feel as punters, you know, when we're, you know, watching you do your amazing thing on stage. Those songs, because they're 25 years old, what does it feel like to still play them for people and have that recognition of it being such a big song, and seeing, you know, our faces just being like, yeah, and singing every lyric along with you? Do you still get jazzed over that? Do they become boring over time? Like, how do they feel for you?
I know some musicians, and have seen some musicians who look bored on stage, and I'm like, I can't. How could you be bored? I mean, what are you doing, bro? Like, come on. Like, maybe it depends on the music. You're more about being in control. And I can understand that for certain types. I've done other projects with different groups that I work with where it's a little bit more back and you're trying just to do a good performance. But this band is about euphoria and being just letting go completely. And it's so, to answer your question, it's fantastic when we see the audience doing that too, because we spend so much of our lives in a state of control, in a state of like trying to keep it together, whether it's at work or at family barbecue or Christmas Day or whatever it is, you know? Yeah. And rock and roll for me, and particularly that era of music, as you guys would attest to. I remember when we first started going to see the Cosmic Psychos, or you'd go down the Barwon Club in Geelong and just like, you jump off the stage and you could let loose, but it was very much a communal. It was, it wasn't sleazy. It wasn't like aggressive or punch ups. It was real, like, we're all here together. We're looking out for each other, and we need to let go of something. And that's, for some reason, I think our band has always sort of had that effect on people. And I think the reason, to get back to the start of the question, is that we have that effect on each other when we play together, particularly in because we're actually quite chilled. Like, if you came to see us, if we were just about to go on stage at Splendor, we'd all be in our band room just chilling out. Like, we're quite boring. Before, we don't really get G'd up. Like, I've seen some bands like, oh, come on, we're gonna. It's like, oh,
slapping each other and stuff. Yeah.
What are you doing, mate? Yeah. Come on. I mean, and then, you know, I've even seen people I remember seeing Trent Reznor beat up his own band on stage once. It was just like, oh man, come on! The crowd loved it. But and then for us, when we crossed the line onto the stage, it's just this. It's like turning up to your own surprise party and loving it. You know, it's just this great. Oh my god, yes! And then you just off you go. And we're writing a new record at the moment, and it's all just sounding like that. I think that this whole Ivy anniversary is happening in a way for a reason. We seem to have really reconnected, and the stuff we're writing is just really powerful and exciting. And after we do this anniversary is brilliant, and then we're going to into next year. We're going to be releasing a retrospective of all of Janet's work, this double album that we've put together of all of her songs, which I'm really proud of. It's just amazing to hear all of her work together. And then late next year, as part of this trilogy of terror that we're inflicting on you all, we're going to do a new album, and it's just sounding insane at the moment. So everyone's really excited.
That's awesome. Hopefully you're channeling some of that beautiful energy from the late 90s. I find that I romanticize that period of music and going to gigs and stuff growing up in Melbourne, going to see bands like Living End in tiny little warehouse rooms, not on stages, just playing, set up in a corner of a room and everyone else is that scene where a lot of those bands, are Something for Kate's and all that, came up through that period. I just think back at that, and for me, I'm turning into my parents because they're like, oh, the best music was the 70s, or, that's for me. It's that late 90s period was just the bomb,
Yeah, I saw an interview once with this guy, and he was an American, and he grew up in New York, and he was a kid like you were then and I was then in the 40s. So he loved swing. Yeah. He just, as soon as he swing, he's like Benny Goodman. It's like, oh yeah, he wants to take his clothes off and see him drink champagne. And the way he put it was so beautiful. He said, we always feel sentimental and close to the musical style that we grew up with. I know 80s is the same for a lot of people. There's something that happens in that period of your life, particularly if you're really deeply in the music scene, whether you're a musician or a fan or you're dancing or you're a critic or whatever it is, that you take it seriously, but it's also part of your whole cultural existence. It's something that's very meaningful to you. And a lot of people talk in Victoria about footy like that, and it's very, very, very true, and these cultural phenomena have kind of been taken away from us obviously in the last couple of years, and it's been very difficult. And this is another reason why I think writing this record at the moment is feeling the way it is because I don't think we're alone in wanting to burst back out and just let it rip. Because we've all been stuck. I mean, no one knows it better than you guys down there. I'm up in Byron. It's just been going to the beach the whole time. I can't even speak. But the reality is that it's been very difficult for people in the industry. It's been really tough for fans. And even someone who's managed to work from home, just the amount of restrictions on their life, it's been very difficult for them. So I just can't wait to get out there and play some big shows. And I just think people are going to absolutely cut sick.
Oh, we are. Don't you worry.
Loggy in particular. Loggy is always... I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest, about what Loggy's going to do.
It's like...
All right.
Especially when I'm writing everything on this.
Yes.
Bring it. It all sounds like Motorhead meets Nirvana at the moment. So
amazing.
Bring it. We can't wait for the new album. Thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on the 25th anniversary of Ivy and the Big Apples, Spiderbait as a whole, and you, Kram. Well done.
Cheers, mate. He's looking a bit surprised. I can't believe you're still listening to me.
I can't believe you're not wearing any linen. You're up in Byron. Have you got shoes on?
Oh no. I've got. This is my axe. My Viking axe for cleaving linen, so it's like, no. It's just a bit cold today.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
There's lots of musos up here who don't wear linen, like Skeggs guys and me. There's a lot of us crew who are still, I don't wear shoes though.
Okay, well that's fair.
You're looking good though. That's good. Thanks heaps for the chat, Kram. You're an absolute legend.
Thanks, guys.
Keeping it real. See you, mate. Bye.
Fresh Daily with Tom and Loggy on K-Rock 955.